Hey, what's up? This is Julian coming to you live from my home in Dallas, Texas, and today we're going to be cranking into a video that I shot earlier this summer with my good friend Dana Giles. Dana is the founder of a company called I Want the Real. It is a social media platform that breaks down both mental health and taboo topics. I'm so excited to bring this interview to you guys today. Ever since she put up the blog and I read some of the stories, I was honestly super inspired by it. So I knew that I wanted to get an interview with her and bring some of her skills and knowledge to you guys. In today's video, we crank into some ideas such as social media, the positives and negatives of social media, and how it can be honestly a negative to some of our mental health. Next, we crank in some ideas on realness and authenticity and truly how to live a real, full, and authentic life that's true to yourself. Next, we break down some tools and tactics on how to really deal with and overcome some uncomfortable emotions. You know, in today's society, our society doesn't teach us how to deal with any uncomfortable emotions. They just say that we're supposed to be happy all the time and have no problems, but honestly, it's not true. And so in today's video, we break down some really key new tools and strategies on how to deal with some uncomfortable emotions that you might be experiencing. I'm so excited to bring this video to you guys today. Please enjoy it. We'll see you next time. Peace. What's up, guys? I'm here with Dana Giles. She's the founder of I Want the Real, and I really wanted to bring this to you guys. I think she has an awesome insight on what it is to be in the life of a college student, and she has a blog that is skyrocketing. She just won the Cox Business, what was it?
Competition. It was it's called the Big Ideas Business Plan Competition.
Yeah. So it's very exciting, and I'm very excited to have Dana here. So if you want to tell some of the viewers, just give you a little insight about who you are and what I Want the Real is.
Okay, well, hello. My name's Dana, and I am 22, and I go to SMU in Dallas, Texas, and I started a media platform called I Want the Real. So it first started just as like a website blog, and then I kind of am now expanding it to other media platforms because it's grown quickly, and I feel like there's a lot of interest in it, and it's been a great experience. It's definitely time consuming, and but it's all worth it, and I feel like I'm really, I feel like it's really helping people. Yeah.
So what do you think inspired you to create the platform?
So pretty much I think what inspired me was I felt like just exhausted with keeping up with the Joneses, almost trying to seem like my life was perfect all the time, and just showing off my best self on social media, and felt like I never could be my true genuine self because society just, I feel kind of told us not to be vulnerable and talk about our issues, and I just was really kind of pissed off about it. And I think by kind of acting perfect and trying to be perfect all the time, it causes a lot of other issues. For me, it was caused me a lot of anxiety, and led to addiction and just things that was so not me. And I kind of contribute a lot of that to feeling like I had to be perfect, and I really and I got exhausted of it. Made me mad. So I said, I'm sure I know other people are going through issues like I am, and I feel like I have a voice in the community, and I am creative, and I feel like I could really start something cool. And so once so that's how I did it. And just blogging is just in my opinion, just the easiest platform to start on. Mm-hmm. So that's why I did it that way. But yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Thanks.
What do you think is so hard for people to open up? Why do you think it's so I honor you for I feel like that's such a cool thing of being able to say that this has a problem and actually take action on it. I feel like a lot of people don't do that, and they have the thought of wanting to do that.
Right.
But the fact that you actually did it is so cool.
Thanks.
What do you think is hard for people? Why do you think it's hard for people to open up about their insecurities and actually take the next step to either get help or start something or start the conversation you're doing?
I think it's difficult for people to open up about their insecurities or do something they're passionate about or whatever, because they're really concerned about what other people are gonna think about them. Like, even like doing something like this, like at first it was like really nervous to release something, because I was like, oh my god, I'm worried, what are other people gonna think? And then they're just like fuck, I don't care, like what, I'm not interested in it. I was like whatever, I don't give a fuck anymore. So I was like, so I think that a lot of people also just don't want to open up about insecurities, because it's like they're hard topics to talk about, and we live in this society where it's so like, hey, how are you, like good, and it's like, oh, maybe you're not good, but like we never spend the time to really like talk about those things. And also everything in, like, if you look at a billboard, like it's someone just looking like amazing and perfect. No one's ever like crying on a billboard being like, I'm so anxious, or like Instagram is always like trying to look good. So we're just accustomed to not talking about things that we're insecure, like that are hurting us, or that what we're going through.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, and to point back to our conversation earlier, your analyzing Instagram thing, I thought was completely relatable. She goes through 10 steps of like the processes that people go through to get a post out, and which I thought, like, as a guy, like I found myself doing some of those, but it definitely related to some of the girls, and like how just going through each level, and like the level of insanity, and like thinking about overthinking it so much, and like putting this facade on social media, I really think is, but yeah, if you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, no,
like
totally.
Those 10 steps I think were really awesome. I feel like that's very relatable.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think I like really, it's kind of been on my mind a lot, especially like, I think this year, because I stopped caring as much, I would say. But over this past spring break, it really just, because I didn't like, I remember like the feeling of anxiety, like wanting to post, because I was on spring break, and I was like, oh my god, this is so weird how it's causing me, it's making me like angry that I like to post a picture. I was like, this is so weird. And so one day I just woke up and I was like, okay, I'm really gonna think about how I think about things, like how I go through Instagram, like before I post a picture. And so like you take, a bunch of photos, you pick one that you like, edit the fuck out of it, then you send it to your friends, then they like say, is this Insta-worthy or whatever, like I do that too. And then your friend's like, oh my god, yeah, you look so good, post, oh my god, you have to. And then you're like, okay, like, and then you think of a caption. And I talked about how like when you're taking a picture by yourself, it's hard to think of caption, because like you're just trying to show off like how good good you look, and it's like by yourself, so it's kind of awkward. But I mean I would post them all the time, so like, and I do it, so I'm not like shitting on anyone who does it. I'm just like acknowledging this is how we think, or how most of us think, I would say. And then just like the anxiety you feel before you post on Instagram, and like wanting so badly the approval of other people to like and comment on it, and it's like that high it gets you, like the high it gives you to post a picture is just crazy. But I really kind of emphasize the anxiety we feel around like posting an Instagram post.
No, I think that's so cool. I read your thing and you said every single time you go on a trip, or like I feel that same way, like every single time I go eat, I feel like I gotta like,
you have to show it off, right?
And if you're not, you said like I feel like I failed myself if I haven't like shown the cool experience of that, which I thought was really cool. But something that I found really inspiring, as you said, empowerment and connection should be more of like what social media we should push social media towards, rather than pressure and comparison. Which I think like that's like the biggest thing in our culture now, is like people are constantly comparing their lives to other people, but it's like fake, like your like ego fake self comparing it to someone's other fake self. So it's like you can't even win that game. It's not even a win. It's lose-lose, because it's fake. You know what I mean? It's not even real. So totally. So do you think that, like, how do you think we can change that? Do you think that people should like being more vulnerable on those social media platforms, or like what do you think?
I think that we should. I mean, it's hard because it's like you don't want to be, it's hard because you don't want to be like the odd man out when everyone's doing it. You don't want to be like, honestly, I can't really give an answer because I feel like it's gonna take like a while. I think people are gonna get exhausted of it though. Like I think people are starting to, at least in my eyes, like I feel like people are starting to get tired of like doing this fake pose and taking this picture and like waiting for the likes. It's starting to get a little bit exhausting, at least in my eyes. I don't know if people are gonna use it less or people are gonna post more pictures of experiences, but right now I don't really know. I can't give an answer. I really can't. I don't know. Do you have an answer?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a balance. I think like doing, like you can't go so far to the one side where it's like completely not relatable. Yeah. But like, I feel like bringing more realness in there, like maybe not using as many filters or like what I've been doing and like I've been seeing other people doing is like talking about real experiences or like opening up about their experiences, and I feel like kind of that's becoming a little bit more cool. It's like people actually being real rather than like trying to put on a fake facade for like all their followers that really aren't like their friend. Exactly. But yeah, no, I love that. If we want, we can maybe go back to, so your blog highlights a lot of different subjects. Do you want to kind of talk about what the kind of subjects they entail?
Yeah, no, totally. Well, it really ranges. Like I've done interviews and articles on things like, you know, depression, people being like suicidal, people being addicted to, I did one on Xanax, I did one on, you know, Adderall, a couple on cocaine, like, one, like, there's a bunch, like, I'm trying to think of the other ones that, you know, one of my good friend's brother died from a Xanax and a late Xanax, and, you know, like, it's a wide variety, and they're not all, like, sad, like, all the articles have like a resolution to them. Like it's like
that's what I thought was a cool.
Yeah, it's not like, oh my god, my, you know, like my life sucks, I'm still in this position. It's like this is what I went through and this is how I got out of it. And like my advice, I always ask for advice. Like I'm always just like, okay, well, what would you go back and say to yourself, or like tell someone who's struggling with something like this? And everyone always gives like really good advice about it, just because, you know, they went through the whole thing. So. But yeah, so it definitely ranges, and I also try to do, like, I don't want it to all be so serious, like the Instagram post is a little bit like lighter, you know, it's like funnier, or like, I don't know, just like less intense, so I don't want it all to be like, you know, I was on my deathbed, you know, I'm not trying to like, make it like that. I'm also trying to just, even like the everyday, like satire, you know, it could like, just like society is crazy, so yeah, but yeah, ranges.
Yeah, that was like the coolest thing I thought about your blog is that like the fact that people had the courage to actually open up about some of their problems, which they wouldn't even like. There was some of those problems like would be hard to like open up to like your friend about,
totally.
Or like your parents, and the fact that someone had the courage to like go. And like, I mean, do you like interview them one-on-one or like how do you do?
Yeah, so normally it's one-on-one, and I record it and we have like a conversation, but especially since it's grown, I don't have as much time to do like the one-on-one interviews as I used to, so now I kind of do it a little bit of a different process and they contribute a little bit more instead of me like doing all the work. So that's made like life a lot easier, but and also just, you know, we don't have to like now set up a time to meet, or, you know, it's just easier. But yeah, normally it's one-on-one, it's all done through me. Like no one, I feel like it's really special because it's just like me and the other person, and you know, I am very like, I hold their stories like very sacred to me. Like they're very important, and I would never, you know, do anything to. So
no, that's, to go back to the point, I thought that was so cool, is that like people had the courage to say it, and then it was like all about their whole experience, and then each one had like a breakthrough point or like
Yeah,
a point
exactly.
of when there was resolution.
Right. Totally.
And it was like, I was so inspired by like reading all those. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cool that like these people have these awesome insights, and like people reading that, like who are in that same situation are gonna be able to have those
Right.
insights. So what do you think is like, I know you have like so many blogs, but like what do you think is like the best advice someone has like you like given you, or like that you've read, or like what do you, if someone's in that situation of like they feel like there's no hope, or they're in like one of these situations, like they're having anxiety, depression,
Right.
one of these diseases, what do you think, like what would you say to them, or like what's your advice, or the best piece of advice you got?
Probably the best piece, honestly, I think was one of my latest posts. A girl said, or an interviewee said that I'm gonna have to just cut out she maybe, or like, you can edit it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. The interviewee said that feelings and emotions are temporary. So don't like do anything impulsively, pretty much, she said. And she said like, or they said, sorry, I keep saying she, it doesn't really matter if I say she or he, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. They said that, okay, I'll start over. The best piece of advice I got was one interviewee told me that emotions and feelings are temporary, so don't be impulsive, and understand that it will pass. And I remember always seeing this quote, like, this too shall pass. So like, you know what I mean?
I love that quote.
Yeah, I love that quote, because it really will pass. And like there's some days I'm like, oh my god, I'm literally so like stressed out, or I'm so like sad, but then it passes and you're like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't like do anything, like if you get like in a fight with somebody and you're like, fuck, I got in a fight for no reason, and you know what I mean? It's stuff like that. Just don't act impulsively, because everything will pass. And we're so, especially our generation, is so like, we have to do it now, so I think like even taking a step back and just being more like mindful about how we perceive our lives, I think will help a lot. I feel like I live like a relatively pretty healthy lifestyle. I try to like get up every morning and meditate and read. I have like a meditation like prayer book. So like reading, like kind of like not like a religious prayer, but it's more of like kind of an intention to set your day. Yeah. So I do that, and I try to eat healthy, more days than trying to eat relatively healthy, right? Yeah, and trying to work out a lot. I love working out. I think it's like great for the mind. It just makes you feel good, and I don't like do any like hard drugs. I don't really do any drugs, or like I don't do drugs. I guess they do a drug. I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes I like do every once in a while, but like that's it. I try to just keep my life like I try to like think about what's gonna make me feel better tomorrow. So like I don't know. I try to just make sure my life is like pretty. I have to do a lot. Like this, it takes a lot of time. So I have to feel like I have to be on like my A game. So I try to like nurture that. Like make sure that I'm, nurturing my body well, and like working out and working hard, and like reading a lot, and But there are things I have to work on. Like I think I have a problem with. I think a lot, like, so I'm like sometimes not as present. That's something I have to work on. So I'm definitely not perfect, and there's probably a trillion things I have to work on, but.
Which I don't think anybody's perfect.
Yeah, no one's perfect.
I think that's definitely, do you think that you've been like that focused on, because I like heard something when you said that, is like, I like want to be on my A game for these people. Is that like kind of a desire to like bring your best, and like really like you feel like, where does that like need to like kind of like serve people, which I think is such a cool attribute.
Oh, thanks.
Where do you think that like comes from, and like do you think that your rituals and routines of like how you treat yourself, like I mean obviously like you're reading all this stuff, you're interviewing all this stuff, like you want to be on top to be able to help these people. Right. Where do you think that kind of comes from?
Well, I think a lot of it comes from Me, I think like when I was younger, like in middle and high school, like I always was kind of worried. I was like, you know, I feel like I have so much. I never like found my niche. I was like, I feel like I could be so good at something, but I just like don't know what it is. And like I was never super good at like math. Like a lot of people were like really smart and good at math, and like I felt like I was really socially smart. Like I could. I picked up on like social cues well, and I was really like charismatic and like could understand people well. And so with this, I felt like I had this like drive to fix this problem, like not only for other people, but like for myself. Like it really comes from like for my younger self. Like I think about her, like I think about, you know, my younger self in like high school and like beginning of college, and like how much I wish I had something like this so I could understand these problems, because they didn't really come out until college. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nothing really came out until then. So that's why college is such a pivotal, and this is why I target like college students. It's such like we're on our own for the first time, ton of drugs, ton of alcohol, like ton of partying, we're meeting new people.
Right.
So these problems
Kind of come to the surface.
Yeah. Totally. But yeah, for example, like keeping on my A game is just because I feel I put like good pressure on myself to just make sure that I'm doing the best I can.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the things I think are important. Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that there's a lot of people graduating
There are.
soon, and I feel like a lot of discomfort and anxiety and uncertainty is kind of coming to them, not knowing what they really want to do. I feel like a lot of people ask, what are you going to do after college? And that thought and that question even like brings out
Totally.
kind of anxiety. So what would you kind of tell people that are kind of in that intermediate stage of starting a new chapter in their life, but they're kind of like, you know, not ready, they're not sure what they're doing?
Right.
What do you think would be some good advice, since you kind of already started your business, you're kind of like doing your own thing,
Right.
kind of found your little niche?
Right.
What would be your advice to them?
I would say like don't get caught up with the crowd. Like I feel like if I was so caught up with, for example, I'm in the business school at college, and it's such like a focus around like banking and finance, and if I did that, if I just like stuck with the crowd and kind of went with it, I feel like I would never find something that I'm truly passionate about. And another thing is like I sometimes would write down like things that I really thought I was good at, and like how I could actually create like a business out of it. And by writing these things down, it was like I'm really good with people, I'm really creative, stuff like that. So I'm like, and I'm passionate about these things. So I think like even taking literally 10 minutes out of your day, like one day, and doing it could help. And also another thing, like everyone says this, like your first job isn't like first job's not going to be like the end all be all. You know, like I feel like within life, people are going to change careers like a bunch. So I wouldn't get too like stressed about it. You can always leave. That's what, you know, you can always leave. So like don't get too stressed about it. Yeah.
I think it's so cool. I think that like the building on your successes thing is so critical, because like everyone kind of has like unique talents, and if you kind of like realize like what skills you have and just like kind of build off that and like what you're actually passionate about, I feel like that just brings like even more energy and like just like more focus. So do you I'm like super into like recently I've been like really into like goal setting and like getting super clear on like my goals and like what I want. Are you into any of that, or do you like set your goals for like your business or your personal life, or like?
Yeah, no, I do. I'm like such a visual learner, so I'll have something like, instead of like writing them out, I'll do like a picture board or something. I have a folder of like things that like my like aspiration list of like what I want.
So more like a vision board.
Yeah, more like a vision board. That helps a lot for me, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, having something like that is like keeping your eye, like on the prize. You know what I mean? Keeping your eye, like having like tunnel vision. Like I feel like I'm really good at that. Like when I want something, I really kind of like block everything else out, which like maybe in some ways is good, in some ways isn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think goal setting, like having a vision board, like I read this study actually the other day, like when you write down what you want, you're like 73% more likely to get it or something.
Yeah.
So write it down if you want something.
That's like been the craziest thing ever since I did goal setting. I got super clear about what I wanted.
Right.
It's been so weird of how like things just like show up in your life without you doing anything.
Totally.
Like
it's like law of attraction.
Literally that, yeah. Which I like wasn't like a big like advocate of
right.
it but like ever since I've been doing that and literally been writing it out on paper, it's been so weird how things just like come together.
Yes.
Just when you're clear and you're like, it's almost like your mind is like open to seeing new opportunities. Like it's like the opportunities were already there, but you just like kind of like take action on them. I think that's it. So I think just as like a kind of a final thought, I think if people are ever feeling like alone or in just like a place of where there's like no hope, I feel like I mean, you can give your advice as well, but I feel like my advice would be like, there's always someone, you're not like alone. Like I feel like if you're ever in that spot, like you're not like the only person. And it can feel like so isolating, but it's like not true. Like there are a lot of people suffering, there's a lot of people with that same thing. And I think reaching out to like Dana or someone who like can help talk to you, like a therapist, a parent, like a role model, I think is huge. And that is something that I think is invaluable.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, you were not alone, I'll tell you that. Like, I've heard a lot of stories, and you would look at the person and be like, oh my God, you would look at you and you never think that anything is wrong. And then you hear their story and you're like, oh my God. Like, it's just, like, and that's the problem with our society. We just like try to be perfect all the time so everything looks good, but like I'm telling you, it's just, you are not alone. And there's always, once again, emotions and feelings are temporary, like they're gonna go away, you know? So don't think that like, you know, don't make a permanent action on this temporary feeling. And have a good support system and totally. Cool. That's big.
I think that's it. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, that was awesome. Cool.
Yay.
All right.